Welcome to our lesson on sending and receiving internal email in the PAWS system. Today we'll be talking about how to send messages to and receive messages from your teachers and classmates in PAWS. The first thing we need to do is get to our email. There are multiple ways to do this. When you log into PAWS, you can check the global navigation bar at the top to see if you have any email notifications. Even if you don't have any notifications, you can still click on email here to get to your email. A second way to get to your email is through the communication menu. To do this, we first need to go to a class's homepage by using the class selector on the global navigation bar. I'm going to go to LIBR 1010. We now see that communication is one of the options we have for this class. If we click on communication, we see that email is one of our choices. When we click on it, we will be taken to our email. If we have any unopened messages, we see that there is a number beside inbox. This is how many unopened messages we have in our inbox. So it says I have 5 messages in my inbox, but the inbox screen says there are no messages to display. What does this mean? As you recall, we came to email through the communication menu for one of our classes. This automatically sets our filter by to the class we just came from. I have no new messages from LIBR 1010. But if I change my filter, I will see messages from other classes or from all classes. Or I can just get it to set all messages, and it will show me the messages from all of my classes and the PAWS system. I'm going to set my filter to all messages so I can see all of my messages. As we can see, I now have multiple messages visible in my inbox. The ones in bold with the icon of an unopened letter with a little sparkle on the side are unread, and the ones that are not in bold with an opened letter icon have already been read. If I click on one of the ones that is unread, it changes to read, and the number I have beside my inbox goes down from 5 to 4. This is just a test message. Let's look at another one I got from the PAWS system. The actual message is shown below in the message preview. This message was from the PAWS system. If I scroll down, I see the message subject as Dropbox submission receipt, and the actual message says, Student Z.F. Matthews, this email is to confirm that LC Classification has received your file submission. If I scroll back to the top, you can see to the right that I can print this message, and to the left I see that I can reply, which means send a message back to the person who sent this message, reply to all, which means send a message back to whoever sent this message and everyone else who received this message, forward, which means I can send a copy of this message to another person, and more actions. In more actions, I can mark this item as unread, which means it will change its icon back to the unopened letter and add to my inbox total. Change course offering association, which means when I filter my messages according to a certain class, I can have this message show up with that class's messages. And lastly, you can move it to the trash, which means you want to get rid of this message because you no longer need it. You can also flag this message with a colored flag so you'll be able to recognize it quickly and come back to it later. Just click on which color flag you want in the drop down. Let's choose orange. To the far right of the message, you can see it now has an orange flag beside it. We also have the option to move this message to another folder. The options we have here are inbox, sent, drafts, and trash. Trash is just an email folder. Just like the inbox is a folder, all email folders are shown to the far left. Right now we're viewing all the messages in the inbox folder, but if we want to see what's in our other folders, we can just click on them. If we click on Sent Mail, it will send me to the Sent Mail folder. This shows me copies of messages I've sent to other people. If I click on the subject of one of them, it will give me a preview, just like it did when I was in the inbox. It also gives us the same options to manipulate the message. If you're not sure whether you sent an email to someone or want to remember exactly what you said in an email, this is a great place to find that type of information. Drafts is another folder. When we click on it, we see messages that we either saved as drafts or that we started but didn't finish and were automatically saved here. We'll talk more about drafts later. Another folder is the trash can. This is where you send messages you don't want anymore. While they're in the trash, you can still retrieve them if you change your mind and want them again, but once they're deleted from the trash can, they are gone. If you've noticed, there are some options at the top of each folder. 3 of them are in every folder: Compose, Refresh, and Folder Options. And the 4th one is unique to the trash can, which is Delete All. Compose is the one we need in order to send a message to someone else. If we click on Compose, then a new window opens where we can compose a message. In order to send a message, we have to have someone to send it to. In the To field, type in the email address of the PAWS teacher or student you want to send your message to. But what if you don't know the email address of the person you want to send your message to? This is where the address book comes in handy. Click on the address book and it will open in a new window. If you scroll down the page, you can see that there are classmates and teachers in our address book. In order to see the classmates and teachers for a specific class, go to Filter By and choose which class the person you want to send the message to is associated with. I will choose Library 1010 just to make sure I'm seeing everyone from my class. For each person in the address book, it tells you their first and last name. It tells you their email address, tells you their role, whether they are a teacher or a student, and whether this is their outside email or their internal PAWS email address. If we scroll down the page, we see there is more than one page of addresses for this class. If you don't see the person you're looking for on the first page, you can click on the arrow to go to the next page. I see many students on the page, but I don't see both of the teachers. Maybe the second one is on the second page. I will click on next page to see. Yes, she is. Well, let's say I want to send her a message. First thing I need to do is click the box beside her name. Vivian Stewart. Now I want to go up and click on To. And as you can see, it sent her email address to the To box. For any email, you need at least one email address to send it to minimum, but you can also send it to many people at once if you so desire. If you do want to send it to multiple people, you don't have to add them one at a time. Just click on the checkbox beside the names of all the people you want to send the message to, and then click To. I'll send it to Penny, Teresa, Tracy, then hit To. If I scroll through my To box, you can see that they were all added. When you're done looking people up, be sure to click Add Recipients to add their email addresses to your message. As you can see, I'm now sending my message to 4 people. The next thing I need is a subject. What is this message about? For example, I will put, when are we studying? And one convention that professors do like is if you add the name of the class to your message to let them know which class you're from. I will put LIBR 1010. Now that I have a To and a subject, I need the message. You type this in the body. Along the top are options for you to use to format your message, but in the interest of brevity, I will say that many of them are similar to ones you see in text editing programs like Word, and they'll usually help you make your message more readable. Please feel free to test them out all and see what they can do. I will now type my message in the body. I need to know when the study group is meeting on Wednesday this week. One very important feature I will go over that the email gives you is a spell check. It's always a good idea to spell check your messages. When I click on it, it says no misspelled words. Let's go back and misspell something. I'll change need to Ned. Now I click on spell check again. I had found I misspelled a word this time. This is similar to a spell checker you'd see in a word processing program. I can either ignore the misspelled word once or ignore all instances of it. Maybe I meant to say Ned. Maybe like it was the name Ned. But I didn't mean to say Ned, so our next option is to replace the word. In the drop-down, we see the recommendations of what we could replace it with. I meant to say need, so I will choose that one. Now I can either replace it once or replace it every time it occurred. I will just say replace once. That fixed all my words, and it now says no misspelled word. I can hit OK, and my message has been spell checked. On the bottom right, you can see priority. Usually you would leave this alone, but if your message is very important, you can click on the drop down and you can choose high for the priority, or if it's not very important, you can click on low. One last thing you may want to do is add an attachment to your message. You can see the attachments box is bounded by a dotted line. As we discussed in our last lesson, if you want to attach files in PAWS, it often gives you the option to drag and drop files into this box, but they may not work with some internet browsers. Because I'm using Chrome, it will work if I drop a file into the box. Like so. As you can see, it now shows up below the upload button. But the way that always works is to click on the upload button, and it will open our file open dialog box. I will choose my assignment that's saved on the desktop, and it is now in the list of files. If you want to remove any of these files, just click on the X beside the file name. One useful technique to use if you forget your flash drive is to save your work and then attach it to an email and send that email to yourself. Now we can either click send in the upper left and send this message, or we can click save as draft beside it. Save as draft saves this message in the drafts folder, and you can add more to it later before you actually send it. Let's just send our message. We are now back at our folder view. Another folder option is refresh. If you have been on your email page for a while, you may have gotten a new message that hasn't been shown yet. When you click on refresh, then any new messages that have come in recently will now show up on your inbox. Another option is folder management. When I click on it, it shows all my folders, and it allows me to create new folders. For example, I could create a folder for group work. I could now move all my group work to the group work message folder, and they would be easier to find. If you click on the arrows beside your folders, you can also edit or reorder them. The last folder option is delete all. If we go back to our message list, we can see this in the trash can folder. If we click it, it will say all messages in this folder will be permanently deleted. Are you sure you want to continue? If I click OK, it will tell me your messages were successfully deleted, and there are now no messages. Be sure you won't need these messages before you delete everything in your trash can. One more thing we can look at are our email settings. The settings are in the upper right with the little gear symbol beside it. When I click on it, I'm taken to the email settings page. In our email options, we can choose whether we want to track activity for messages sent to internal email addresses, include original message and email replies, or save a copy of each outgoing message to the sent mail folder. As you can see, 2 of them are already checked, so these things are done automatically. The next thing we can do is specify our email signature. This is what will appear at the bottom of all of our emails. People usually put their name and any contact information they have. I will put Zeb Matthews, Circulation Librarian, and my phone number, which is 901-333-5140. And lastly, our display options. We can choose whether we want to show the message preview pane, show the folder list pane, mark messages as read when viewed in the message preview pane, show internal email addresses in the address book, or allow filtering messages and contacts on group enrollment. And these are all checked by default, so these are all done by default. And when we're done changing any options, we click on Save. Another way to send an email is through the class list. Click on Communication here at the top, and then click on Class List, the third one down. If you want to send a message to anyone in the class list from here, all you have to do is to click on their name and a compose window opens. When I click on the first name, the To field is already populated by the person's name who I clicked on and their email address. Let's close this. Now if I want to send a message to multiple people, then all I need to do is to click on the checkbox beside their names and then click email at the top. So say I wanted to email these 3 people. Then I click email, and as you can see, all their names are in the To field of this email. Today we learned how to check our PAWS email and also how to send email from our PAWS email to other people. We also talked about some of the email options and settings we can use to make our PAWS email easier to use. As always, if you have any other questions, please contact the Southwest Help Desk at 901-333-4357. Or you can contact me at fmatthews@southwest.tn.edu.